So the opportunity as you move through your day today is to expand your sense of who is like me in some regard. So I'd like to do a little guided meditation here about that, and then I'll wrap it up with a suggestion or two for this day. So what you might do to begin with is first know what it feels like to feel us. A sense of those who are like you, who belong to your team, us against them maybe. Get a sense of what us feels like. Might be a pretty small us, like a couple or a family, or it could be a broader us, like those of us who perhaps have particular political views or have particular values. So I'll be quiet for a moment as you register the experience of us. Okay. And then knowing what us feels like, right now, if you can, get a mindful sense of expanding it, starting with what's easy for you. Maybe people you hadn't thought about but could be included in your circle of us, people who are like you in some way. What's it like to expand the circle of us in ways that are comfortable and relatively easy? And then see if you can deliberately bring to mind those who are, let's say, neutral to you. They don't feel like an enemy, you're not in conflict with them, and yet perhaps you wouldn't naturally think of them as an us. Maybe people of a different gender, to the extent that that's meaningful, or a different age, or size or shape of body. And see if you can look for common ground with these more neutral people. They have a human body too. You might think to yourself, like me, you get headaches. Like me, you enjoy eating things that are sweet. Like us, you care about your children too. You might have a sense of your circle of us expanding geographically to include people in your region, even those you don't know about. You might visualize a circle moving over the surface of the earth, getting wider and wider and wider. If you like, you can do this as well to include non-human animals, the creatures of the land, the water, the air, perhaps all living things, including plants, the us of life. And then if you like, you can start to include difficult people, if not even really significant adversaries. And recognize that you can have a widening circle of us while simultaneously reserving your rights, seeking justice, and opposing, inside the circle of us in a meaningful way, those who are harming others. So see what it's like to expand the circle of us, if you can, to include all of humanity, including the people who are most difficult for you. It's quite profound to be mindful of the us, that is, all creatures who live. Or mindful of the us, that is, all members of the human tribe. Or mindful of all those beings who are subject to arising and passing away, including subject to disease, old age, and eventually death, as an us. Finishing up here, you also can be mindful of the experience of widening the circle, which sometimes can feel a little alarming, so do it at your own pace, always, of course. And commonly, widening the circle of us actually has a peacefulness in it, a kind of easing, a sort of whoosh, landing and settling. As we finish here, you could be aware of the us. That includes all the people who've participated in this wonderful program from the Awake Network, Mindful Living Week. That's a wonderful us. And as I finish here, and you think of the day to come, one of the opportunities with this challenge of expanding the circle of us is to be mindful of how it shrinks and expands. How even in a couple with someone you really love, as soon as you're in a quarrel with them, the circle of us shrinks to one person sometimes. So you can be very mindful in this challenge today of the expanding and contracting of the circle of us. And if you like, you can deliberately see what it's like to intentionally expand that circle, maybe to include a particular person or a particular group of people, maybe even those that have been challenging for you. You can be mindful of what it's like to do that and get a sense of an expansive circle of us becoming increasingly your home base, increasingly natural to you and native to you. It's a wonderful thing to be mindful of. The expanding of the circle of us, which of course includes you, a wonderful way to be mindfully, increasingly at home in this world.